Yo, what up, Night Nation? Want to do a video about NIL, name, image, and likeness. You're seeing a lot of comments come out lately. The big boys in college football are commenting on Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, obviously media personalities. And it's something that's impacted all of college football, all of college sports, and it's definitely impacted and relevant to UCF and UCF football. Personally, I am not a fan of the current version of NIL. I've always said, an example I use, I remember Johnny Manziel got, torched back in the day when he, got paid to sign autographs on his jerseys. Look, if any player if their name has value and they can sign autographs, do YouTube videos, whatever the case it is, anything where they can make money off their own name that they earn, completely cool with that. Look, when I was in college, if I couldn't make money off of whatever writing articles, little side projects I did, I'd have been furious, especially, if I was a college athlete where my name was very valuable. Of course, they should be able to make money. What's happened was I think we were so far in the, before the NIL, we were so restrictive that every little thing athletes did in schools, it was under scrutiny and it was sanctions. The NCAA had all this power to just levy bullshit sanctions, essentially, whenever they essentially felt like it. And it was dumb. Like, players couldn't get this, they couldn't get that. I mean, you saw guys, I remember was it Kemba Walker, I think, was saying that back when he was in college, I think it was Kemba Walker, that was saying that he, wasn't able to eat 3 meals a day under the current structure, or someone at UConn, can't remember if it was Kemba or someone else, but, just things like that, where it was just way too much on one side. Now, I feel like with all the pressure and everything over the years that had mounted, that players should be allowed to get paid, and it kept mounting and mounting and mounting, now that we've gone all the way further to the other side, where it's just the wild, wild west, where everything is under the guise of NIL, and essentially schools, don't know which ones, I'm not accusing a specific one, but it's happening where schools are just paying to play. They're just, and that may have happened before, but at least it was scrutinized and it was under a microscope. Now there's all this gray area because of this NIL, and I don't know the legal specifics of it in the bill and all that, but all this gray area has basically made it so essentially anything can happen. There's like no restrictions. I'm sure if it's something that's really, really out there, maybe that would get restricted. But in general, I mean, you have Nick Saban literally saying at the press conference or whatever he was at the other day that the Jackson State player that Dion recruited got paid $1 million to go play there. I mean, Nick Saban, the biggest guy in the game, is saying that someone just got paid $1 million and in return for what? It's not supposed to be pay to play. It's supposed to be name, image, likeness. It's supposed to be a legitimate program where these players are doing a job just like an endorsement, just like a celebrity does. I used to work in celebrity endorsements. They would speak. They would do social media content. They would sign autographs, whatever the case, in exchange for the money. Same thing with the NIL. That's what it's intended to do. Exactly what Mission Control and Dreamfield are doing. They're doing it the right way. They are having, events where fans are paying to attend the event, take pictures, get their autographs signed on posters, footballs, whatever. The player is working for that money. And I'm not saying that playing football isn't work, but that's not what this NIL and this bill was supposed to do, where you're essentially just getting a bag to attend the school. And it's impacting small and medium-sized football programs and big programs alike. I mean, essentially, if you have a ton of money, if you're a school like Texas A&M with that oil money, and you can just pay the offensive line, whatever, $50,000 to just come there and then say, they're going to promote this moving truck company, but it doesn't happen. What's happening is it's getting unchecked. They're saying they're getting NIL deal in exchange for, let's call it 4 social media posts a month, attend 2 events, whatever the case it is. But who's actually checking if that's happening? I'm sure there are plenty of schools and plenty of programs out there that are legitimate and they are actually following up and saying, okay, you have to fulfill this. But a lot isn't. They're giving them whatever, $100,000, $200,000, $50,000, $10,000 to come to the school, say that there's an NIL deal and contract, and then there's no enforcement of actually fulfilling that. So that's paying to play. And that's what's going to hurt schools like UCF and bigger football programs, but especially schools like UCF that we're on our come up still. We're about to enter the Big 12, but let's be honest, there's still bigger names out there, bigger programs and teams out there. I mean, when you think of Jalen Robinson leaving, why did he leave? He was seemingly happy. I know there was rumors in the past and whatever, if he was unhappy. He had a great spring. He seemed happy. He loved being teammates with Ryan O'Keefe, seemed to love the wide receiver room. He goes through spring, goes to the spring game, and then just happens to announce he's transferring a week or two after that. That doesn't seem suspicious. That is not just a matter of like, oh, I'm not happy with the coaching staff. Like, to me, that feels something, he got some sort of bag to leave. Ole Miss, SEC money. I'm not accusing him necessarily. I'm accusing the system that's been put in place. It's going to make it very hard for schools like UCF to retain these players, because if you have a school that doesn't even need an NIL program, they just have some booster that's like, here, I'll give you $100,000 to transfer from UCF to XYZ SEC school. How do we compete with that? You know what I mean? It's going to make it very hard. Even if and I'm not faulting a player for wanting to get that money and provide for their family and all of that, but it needs to be done the right way. If a school like Alabama or whomever has a legitimate NIL program that offers XYZ UCF player, whoever, a better opportunity to not only get money in exchange for something and playing opportunities, yeah, it is what it is. It's fair play. But if it's just going to be like, here's $100,000 to come play for us, how can we retain that? Like, UCF is, or Dreamfield and Mission Control, some of these are doing great things. They're giving legitimate opportunities, student-backed opportunities, paying monthly, and they're getting real opportunities. I would love, if that is how everything was, and then we're a little bit more on equal footing. Yeah, maybe there might be better fan bases out there or whatever, schools that have better NIL opportunities. Not everything's going to be equal, but it gives us a little bit better of a chance to keep some of these guys. Like Flash, unless he was legitimately unhappy at UCF, it feels like it was just like leaving for money. And then if that's the case, any guy that we develop, that we grow, homegrown guys that we recruited, may be super happy, but if someone throws a bunch of money in an 18, 19-year-old's face, who isn't going to take that? And it's not about them, not being happy. I'm not even saying this from you got to be loyal to UCF or you got to be unhappy if you're there. No, be happy, do what you want, and go for the best opportunity. But that can be at UCF if the NIL isn't actually a fair space and all schools are adhering to this NIL policy of how it should be. Because UCF is an innovative school. Our fan base, the companies that are being created in Orlando are innovative, that they will, UCF will have really good NIL opportunities. We're already seeing it, like I just already mentioned, with like Mission Control. So to me, that is enough for top UCF players to stay. But if it's going to be a situation where they can just go get money and do nothing in exchange for it, as far as, outside of playing football, then it's going to be very hard. And I just don't like the precedent that sets. So I'm not trying to say get rid of NIL. What I'm saying is let's regulate it. And on top of the NIL, now you have the transfer portal. So when I mentioned the Wild Wild West, that's what it's become. When you combine those two things, NIL and transfer portal, that came in the same year, it's like pouring kerosene on all of this. It's just made it so easy for guys to move in and out at any drop of the hat, any opportunity, they can just dip out. And I just think there needs to be some sort of regulations, whether it's dates within when they can transfer, they can't transfer mid-season, obviously regulating how the NIL, doing follow-ups, enforcing that they're actually, fulfilling what they signed up to do, whether it's social media or whatever the case may be. Just something that improves the situation now, because eventually this levee is going to break, and it's going to hurt college football. It's going to hurt some of these players. I mean, when there's just no regulation, who knows? Maybe they transfer, they get promised something, it doesn't happen, or vice versa. They get screwed over, they screw someone over. I don't know, tax situations, legalities, all this stuff. Eventually, right now, it's so new that I think that we don't know what to do or what to expect. But eventually this system, I personally, in my humble opinion, don't believe can carry on as how it is. So I'm not saying get rid of the portal. I'm not saying get rid of NIL. I'm saying let's go about it the right way and let's just get some sort of regulations in place. I don't know what those are. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a strategist in this sphere. So I don't have necessarily a good suggestion, but just something that will make it a little bit more just easier to, or not easier, but a little bit more regulated and have some sort of process and system in place that keeps it on the up and up, and that makes it so, it's a little bit more equitable, a little bit more fair for schools, and keeps it clean for the players and the schools alike. So that's my rant. Thanks for listening. Go Knights.